Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Alireza and I'm Senior Manager of Web Applications at Rocscience. I'm also co-founder of Novotech software that was acquired by Rocscience in 2021. I myself am a geotechnical engineer with over 22 years of experience with a variety of projects, site investigation, site modeling, instrumentation, ground improvement, pile design, and so on. What I do in the first part of this presentation, I'm going to introduce to you RSLog, and in the next part, my colleague is going to join me. Let me see. Let me show my screen. Okay. You should be able to see my screen now. Yeah, so in the second part of the presentation, my colleague Steve Chai will take over. He's a geotechnical software developer working mainly on the engine side of Settle3, which is a software for settlement analysis. Steve is involved in research and implementation of new features to Settle3. And later in this webinar, he will show you how to import data directly from RSLog. You can import your borehole data into Settle3 and run settlement analysis. As most of you, I'm sure you already know, Rocscience over the past 25 years has built several geotechnical tools for civil, mining, and geotechnical engineering. These tools are used by over 10,000 users across the world. Rocscience is known for its innovative solutions and exceptional support. We are located in downtown Toronto, Canada. And we have several 2D and 3D limit equilibrium and finite element analysis programs for modeling virtually any slope. Rocscience products include desktop programs. Our latest addition to our collection of geotechnical programs is RSLog, and with this, Rocscience expands its collection of programs into web applications. So with this, I just give you a little bit of overview of what we're going to talk about in this presentation. So our agenda is to look at whether RSLog is going to be another just borehole logging software. And then we talk about how RSLog can help you with your projects. And then we have a short demo, and we talk about the upcoming features. Okay, so what do you expect from a borehole logging tool? Obviously, you want something that is high quality, it has high efficiency, and it doesn't need any installation, ideally, and the cost is low. Well, some of you probably remember that 25, 30 years ago, this was the only method of preparation of borehole logs and cross sections. But those days are gone. A lot of us have used, or maybe we are using, Excel files. And Excel files resolve some of these problems. They still need to be installed, and you need a license for it. When AutoCAD came, the features were a lot more than Excel, what you could do with Excel. So obviously AutoCAD turned into some cross-section designing and borehole logging program. But again, the main problem is cost and installation. But now let's look at two more categories of your criteria for borehole logging. So we want to go beyond the borehole logging software. It's not just preparing your borehole log. The thing is, these days, we are looking for global access to our data. especially during pandemic, what we experienced was that one of our engineers working from home, the other one from the office, someone in the field, and everyone wants to work on borehole logging or looking at your data, running different types of analyses. So what we learned was that team collaboration without any limitation in terms of your geographic location will be a huge advantage. And also having a central project database. Over 10 years, 20 years, you would have a lot of projects. And what you need is to be able to access, to search through these projects, to open a specific project, load your data, and use it for new projects, or just take an upper hand when you prepare a proposal. And obviously, one of the features that come with a lot of programs these days is communication between different software. So if you have a software with borehole logging data and you want to run liquefaction analysis or response spectrum or pile design, settlement design with Settle3 or RSPile, it will be nice to be able to have these programs to talk together, right? And obviously, GIS capability is very helpful. As these like desktop programs that we use for borehole logging, they have solved some of these issues. Global access is still an outstanding problem, but some of the advanced features with GIS and communication between the programs are already addressed by those. But again, the hassle of installation, dongle key installation and drivers, and compatibility with your operating system, these are all issues. And desktop programs are still costly. What we did, we in 2019, we started to prepare, design, and plan a web application. And with RSLog, now I can say that we have addressed all of these issues. So the cost is lower. You don't need any installation. You just log in into your account, and you will have global access. So you can access the program from pretty much anywhere at any time. And obviously, being a web application, you have a central database and you have GIS features. So let's talk beyond a borehole logging program. When you have a geotechnical projects, what are different types of data that you collect during your geotechnical project? If you look at the life cycle, it starts with site investigation. You will have field tests done. You will have different types of data collected, like survey data, for example, for your borehole locations. And then if there is any instrumentation, then like piezometer, for example, you install a piezometer or inclinometer or something. And then you take the samples to your lab and you run some lab tests. Where does the data go? So typically, in traditional way of doing lab testing, we will have different Excel files, or some of us, use other desktop programs. So there are different ways, but typically each data is in an individual file. Even a lot of borehole logging programs, they just save one separate file for each project. Then you prepare the borehole log, you put all this data, summarize it, present it in your borehole log, and then based on each individual borehole log, you work on your subsurface modeling, you prepare cross sections, and after that, once you have a good understanding of the site conditions, you start running your engineering analyses, soil liquefaction, bearing capacity, pile design, and so on. And then you go through the review and approval process. Senior engineer or principal is going to review your calculations and your borehole logs. Now, when you're done with an individual project, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, you have a lot of projects. So what do you do with this project? Or how do you access these projects? If you want to see how many projects you have in a specific area, how do you load that data? It's not very easy. For a lot of us, this is the main problem, especially if you have to price a new project, if there is a new proposal, and your previous data, your previous projects in that area is gold. Now, it also ends up with data exchange. Exchanging data with other programs like your borehole data, is there any way that you can send this data to another program? And this is the data exchange. These days, a lot of different standards are out there, AGS, DIGS, exporting to different types of different formatting, essentially. So what if I tell you that RSLog has already built-in functions for these orange items, and we are working on these two yellow items just to add more and more features with that. Now, after this, I'm going to go through a demo, just show you how RSLog works. I break it into two different parts. In part one, I'll show you the RSLog, and in the second part, my colleague Steve is going to show you how to import your data from RSLog to Settle3. So this is the dashboard of RSLog. Obviously, after registration for a trial version or purchasing the program, you will get a username and password and a company code and a license. So what do? You just log in, and on this dashboard page, you have some general information about your license, your company, and you will have some links to list of your projects, cross sections, and so on. On the left, as you see, we have 5 different sections that provide you access to different pages, different features on RSLog. Under account, you can access your own company information. Then we have data entry, where you enter the project and test hole data. Then we have reporting, including test hole logs. And we have some tools for report templates. And obviously, help. If you need our support, you need our help. Or if you want to open the documentation, like the help file, essentially, for RSLog, giving you some ideas of how the program works. I go to company account just to show you. You have all of these data here, like the company information, your logo, the way that it looks on the borehole logs. Then there is licensing. Then there is activity logs. Who did what? Who deleted this borehole? Who changed that project? And then I go here to the roles. So you have user management. So what happens is when you register for RSLog, you will register under an admin role, and that admin can come to this page and define different roles, and roles define permissions or access levels. For example, an engineer, you can define that anyone in the role of an engineer should have access to all of these menus except import or export, right? So it's totally up to you, but typically what happens, you can just check and uncheck any of these. But typically what happens is you come to this page, and if you're admin, you have full access. If you're engineer, you have full access, except you can't do user management. Read only is if you want to give access to your, let's say, to your client, for example. Client wants to see the data, but you don't want them to mess with project data because they're not used to RSLog user interface, maybe, you are afraid that maybe they can, they delete something by mistake. So you just give them read-only access. And here is a list of your users. Depending on your license, you will have a number of users, and you can add users, set a default password for them, and from that point, these users can log in to your company account and access the projects and data. List of contacts, you can build up the contacts, list of contractors and clients. But the main data entry starts with creating a project. And on borehole pages and projects page, you can search, find a specific project, especially after so many years, you have a lot of projects, so you should be able to easily search them. You can assign a project to certain users so that not every user can see all the projects. And this is just general information you enter for a project, title, client, address. Once you enter the address, you enter the civic address, and here you click on the map, and you will be able to see the location of the site. You can drag this marker and say, my project is here or here, and you can draw a polygon around the site if you want to show like the property lines or the layout of the site. And because RSLog is a web application, we immediately have a lot of GIS features. As you noticed, when I put the borehole, the site location on the map, I have the latitude, longitude immediately, right? So then you'll come here, specify the unit system, imperial metric. You choose the coordinate system. We have UTM, we have geographic, we have local coordinates. If you use UTM coordinates, you specify the UTM zones here. So once you have your project, then you can easily go to test hole page. Here's a list of the test holes for this project. Test holes are two different types, two different like major types of projects. We have either a drill hole or test pit, trial pit. So if you have a trench, you would still categorize it under test pit. But any type of drill hole, you just choose drill hole. It could be auger, it could be what, we define it later. But after entering the general data for the borehole, we have another GIS feature here that you can place your borehole on the map. Remember, this was our site, right? This was our site, the way that we specified the location on projects page. So now here, I'm here to change the location or confirm the location of AH20-1, which is an auger hole. So I just zoom in to the borehole location, and I can move it. I can say this was the actual location of the borehole. And if you don't like the marker, you can change the marker. We have a variety of different markers that you can use here. So borehole location, it's very easy to define it. Then we have list of samples. For each sample, you can define the depths, sample number, sample type, moisture levels, sample description, and so on. You can on a lot of these tabs, as you see, like we enter data in different tabs: samples, field test, comment, stratigraphy. And on a lot of these tabs, you have the option of importing from CSV file. So if you have this data in Excel, or you're trying to import data from another program, you can easily import from CSV. Similar for field tests, if you have SPT test or DCPT test, shear velocity measurements, you can enter it here, CSV import. You see the graph. And obviously, any data that you enter here in the in this borehole edit page, you can present it later in the borehole log, obviously. List of comments, like you want to leave comments in the borehole log, different depths, some sort of remarks. Stratigraphy, and here is where you define your different soil layers. I give you an example here. For example, 4.5 to 13.5 feet. We define the layer title. You can even copy it from other boreholes, because in a lot of cases in your site, especially smaller sites, the stratigraphy could be very similar. So it will be nice to be able to grab or copy a layer from an adjacent borehole. And then layer description here, it's a multi-line text, so you can enter what you want. And in terms of the hatch or the shading that will be shown in the borehole log, we have a variety of different types of hatch. Here you can search if you have rock, any like drilling into bedrock, or you have a mining project. So we have here more than 35 different types of rock hatch, and we have a couple of other miscellaneous types of hatch here. A few Australian standards also included, and obviously the line you want to show at the bottom of the soil layer in the borehole log. Boring methods, like if it's auger or sonic hole or percussion or continuous coring, you can define it here, even if you have two different types of drilling or boring in one single borehole. You can define it here. Now, if you have any piezometer installation in your borehole, you define the piezometer here. For each segment of the pipe, you can specify the type of pipe, the backfill. Here you can specify the piezometer type, the general category of the piezometer, how it was capped, and then you do the groundwater monitoring in that piezometer over time. You have whatever number of measurements. You can come here and add a new reading for your groundwater measurements. If you have mining projects, you will be interested in like drill runs and discontinuities. And as you see here, for each drill run, you can specify many different parameters. You can even specify the rock strengths and weathering level and so on. In terms of discontinuities, it's very similar. As you see, many different parameters that are typically included in the list of or in the borehole log for discontinuities. You can enter here. These options here, these are customizable. So once you click on this, it will take you to another page where you can define your own types of, for example, infill type or roughness, because these are different in different countries, sometimes different regions. So you will have that flexibility with RSLog. Once you are done data entry for your borehole, you come to this page and enter the results of your lab test. So what happens here is that you don't enter the raw data here. Let's say if you have direct shear test, what you do, you just enter the results of the lab test. The idea is that you enter these results and then you can show them in the borehole log. So that's the only purpose that you see these here. For example, if you want to show liquid limit and plastic limit in your borehole log, there will be two different columns showing this data, sieve data. So we broke it into index test, strength test, chemical test, and then if there are some tests that you don't see them here in our list, you can add your own tests. So user-defined tests, right? I know a lot of environmental consultants, they have their own types of testing on soil samples. So you can define those here. We go to the cross-section page. So you have your borehole data, and it will be nice to be able to connect these together and make a cross section, right? So what we have here is a plan view of all your boreholes, and if you want to define new cross section, what you need to do, you need to just connect these boreholes together, like these red circles. You just connect them together and you create a new section. Once you have the section, you click on open, and here's your section designer. I have already created this section and connected these two boreholes, just created for demonstration purposes. Some of the soil layers here. You can change a lot of things here. There are some settings here. You can specify the scaling of your drawing. Here, drawing a polygon. So you define soil layers by drawing polygons, and polygons are easy to draw. You just click on these points, and by the way, you can define whatever point. You can click anywhere and create your own point. So I just double click on the last point and it created the polygon for me. I right click and say select hatch, and here is the list of all the hatches. I would say, okay, this is silty sand, so I would go choose SM, for example. You can choose from any type of hatch, and I right click, change the color. I want to show it in light green, right? So so that's how you design the cross section. You can change the scaling of the hatch that you show for this, and you have a lot of options here. You can print this into into a report, like into a figure that you can include it in your report. You can export it as image format. You can export it as different, like SVG, which is vector based format, loading it into other programs. And the other thing you can do here, you can show it in 3D, and this is a very neat feature, especially when you have multiple boreholes and multiple cross sections in your project. It will be nice to see in 3D where is the groundwater level, where is the intersection between two different soil layers, and how they correlate together. So that's the cross section. We have some import export feature. For example, let's say, because this is one of the questions that I get from our users or trial users asking about the offline application. So they ask, what if, because this needs internet connection, like RSLog, you can view it on any device essentially. So you can open it on your cell phone, you can open it on your iPad, any tablet, as long as you have internet connection on a laptop. So it will be very easy to go to the site. As long as you have internet connection, you can enter the data right there, and that's a time-saving aspect of RSLog, because in traditional way we have to enter our data, like write it down on a notebook, come to the office and enter data in our program or Excel sheet. But now you can enter it on site. Now, if you are on a remote site that don't have access to internet, what you can do, you can download our Excel templates, and these are Excel templates that are consistent with data entry in RSLog. You enter data in those Excel templates, and then you come here and you import those Excel templates into RSLog, and in 10 seconds you will have all your data imported into your database. So you will have now a new project, right? And by the way, during my presentation, if you have any question, feel free, just post your question in your panel. You should be able to see it on the right side. If you have any questions, submit your question. We will talk about the question and answer them at the end of presentation. Now, I'll go to the reporting section. So with the reporting section, we have a bunch of figures that you can create. Remember you put the location of the project on the map. So how about having your project location on a PDF map? Like this is this is an example of like the borehole locations on the map, right? So all of the boreholes on one single map, and what you do, you just select the template, the figure template in terms of their header and footer, the paper size, and then your figure will be created. The same thing for project, the exact same thing with project. You will just have the project location here. The same thing for cross section. Remember the cross section that I showed you? It was missing this layer, and this is an output of that cross section. And these are all created in PDF. So it will be very easy. You just download the PDF and attach it into your geotechnical report. So you don't need to do anything else. The beauty of doing cross section here is that you can have it done by your engineer who has the best knowledge of the project. Otherwise, what's happening is that there will be more back and forth between your engineer and draftsman. It's up to you. The tool is there, and I think it's very useful. We have some features to export data. We skip this for now. Let me show you the test hole logs. I have another 3 to 4 minutes here. So the test hole logs, after you enter all your data, you want to prepare the borehole log, you just choose the borehole from the list. You can choose multiple boreholes, and here you choose the type of log template. And here I have a bunch of different log templates that I created for this account, but you can create your own, and shortly I will show you how. And once you do that, you just click on generate log, and here is what you have, your borehole log here in PDF format. Again, you can change almost like everything here. You know, the composition of the header and the footer. Each of these log columns. So each of these are called one log column in RSLog. Like this log column is for depth scale. This is for lithologic description. You can change the fonts and colors, and even you can specify different color for each hatch. And you can show things in graphical format, being drill run and discontinuity, or RMR, RQD, or just SPT blow counts with depths, and of course your piezometer. So let's go back to the program. I just quickly show you the GIS because I talked about the GIS features, but let's see what we can do with this. We have a list of all our projects here, and once you click on a project, so these are all the projects that we created in RSLog for this company, right? So each company can see their own project. Even if you have some old projects that you can't import those projects here, but what here you can do, you can as long as you have the latitude and longitude of your project, you can import, you can put them in a CSV file, and we import it here, and we show these external projects with different icon here, with different markers, and still you can see some general information. This helps you a lot if you have a proposal, if you have a new project in one area, you can just go there and see how many projects you have. It will be very, very helpful. Now, one of your questions here would be, how can I change my log template? So we have two different types of template. We have a figure template, like for cross-section figure, remember? And we have log template. I go show you how you can change your log template on this page. Some general information, line styles and stuff like that, the paper size, right? the margins. And here you can choose the fonts, like for column headers, you want them bold, right? So you can change them here. And then we go to header and footer. So header and footer is the main part, like the way that you want your header and footers to show in the borehole log. There are a variety of different types of elements that you can add, either a static text, like a label, my project, site address, or a database field. So these are the data that are coming from your database, from your project, or from your borehole. In this example, this one here is project title, right? And on the right hand side, you see a property grid that you can change the colors, and you can specify instead of project title, you can choose something else. And obviously your company logo, you can even drop QR code here. For example, if you want to add a link to your website, right? So anyone with a smartphone, they can scan your borehole logs, and it will take them to the website. And last thing I want to show you before I hand it over to Steve is this page. So the log columns are all customizable. So you can design them the way you want. So we broke it into either you want to present data in a log column as text and number, or you want to show them as a graphical format, like a graph of SPT blow counts, right? Graph of other reg limits, right? So once you choose the main category, then here you go, either you want to show like basic data. For example, you want to show the lithologic symbol, the hatch. You change the color setting. You say CL, or generally this hatch, I want to show it in red, right? And if I choose any of these types of log columns, you will see that there is some settings here. I go to test results. I say I want to show field test results, and I can specify which test results I want to show. Let's say I say I want to show DCPT, right? Or my which is very similar to SPT used in North America. And I say I want to show the horizontal guidelines, what type of line, whether I want the data point or so. So for each of the log columns, you have a lot of settings for them. It's extremely flexible. So that's how you design the report templates. There are some settings and help file that I'm sure you can explore yourself. What I recommend is that you go and start your trial registration of RSLog. I pass presentation to Steve to show you how easy it is to import data to Settle Tree. Steve?
Hello everyone, my name is Steve, and today I will show you a demo of importing RSLog to Settle3. Settle3 is one of our programs in Rocscience, which allows users to analyze settlement under different load applications, such as structural load, embankments, and you can also assign ground improvements with drains, etc., to analyze immediate primary consolidation as well as secondary consolidation under different applications. So this is Settle3, and what we'll do is we will go to analysis and project settings. In Settle3, there are 3 different ways in which you can create a soil profile: horizontal, non-horizontal, and extended section layers. For this feature, we will be selecting the extended section layers, which allows users to create freehand drawing of connecting the boreholes to the soil layer thickness. So we will select this one, select OK, and go to soils, and here you'll be able to see the import from RSLog feature. And this feature will be available for any of our Maintenance Plus subscribers who have the latest versions of Settle3 updated. So once you click on this feature, then you'll be able to see that there are 3 inputs that is required from the users: the company name, username, and the password. For the demonstration purposes of this webinar, and also this will be available in our tutorial, we'll be entering demo as a company name, guest as username, and password will be shared to the tutorial. So once you select this and you select next, then you'll be able to see the number of projects that is in the company profile that is logged in RSLog. So all of the information associated with the project title, project number, the unit system, along with the coordinate system, latitude, longitude is shown in this dialog. For this demonstration, we'll be selecting this tutorial example, and it has its coordinate system and its information and the notes for the project. Select next. And as you can see in this dialog, you see the number of boreholes that are in the project and its layer name, description, and each of the borehole thickness profile can be shown on the right side of the dialog. And as you can see, the location of the X and Y geographic coordinates and its top elevation of boreholes are all shown in this dialog. And you can feel free to either unselect or select all for importing all of the boreholes into Settle3. Once you select finish, then notice how easy it is to import all the boreholes that you had in RSLog to Settle3. This requires only a couple of clicks by just logging in and reviewing the boreholes and selecting next. This saves a tedious time that engineers had to do previously in Settle in entering the borehole information one by one. So after we have the boreholes imported, then what we do is we select soils and section creator. And this allows users to create soil profile with the direction in which they want to create the soil profile. So let's select the region where we want to draw the section. And as we see here, we have the section creator dialog pop up with all of the boreholes that were logged in RSLog to Settle3. And this feature allows users to draw the ground surface by connecting the top of the boreholes. This and select enter. And now you see that top of the boreholes are all connected and it has created the ground surface. And it has ability for also importing the DXF. So any of the surface data or any soil profile that you have in DXF, you can also import it into this dialog. So you can also draw the internal boundaries where you want the next boundary of the soil thickness. And the Settle3 has the ability to snap onto the soil layer thickness. So once you select this, you select OK. And you can continue on by selecting the appropriate soil thickness layer. For demonstration purposes, I'm just showing the process of how to connect these soil layer thickness. And once you have done that, you can just go into assign material. And for the boundaries that you have drawn, you can assign different material properties between the different boundaries, such as this. And once you have created the soil profile, you can select OK. Then you'll be able to see a soil profile generated from section creator. This procedure, once completed, I have a completed example of this. This example is exactly same as what I have shown previously as step by step. But if you see the section creator, it has all of the connectivity of each of the soil layer thickness appropriately assigned, and also the material layers properly assigned as well. And what we can do on top of this load now, on top of this soil profile, would be to apply a load. So we can just simply apply a rectangular load and place it, let's say, on top of this soil profile. And Settle3 has different ways in outputting the results. So in this example, we'll be using a query line to see the settlement underneath the load. And as you can see here in the 3D view, there is a contour line drawn underneath the load with the settlements shown on the right. And this would be an example of a realistic model where you have different shapes and different load types applied on the model with the boreholes that is imported from RSLog. So as you can see, there are a number of different boreholes, and the section created off of these boreholes and many of the load types that can be applied to run the full settlement analysis. So that concludes the demonstration for how RSLog boreholes that is logged in the website can be incorporated into a full settlement analysis in Setup 3.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I just want to quickly, before we go to questions and answers, I want to show you what we are doing for upcoming features. Obviously, what we want to add is instrumentation data. So if you have some inclinometers or something, and you want to be able to see the data, instrumentation data, the enhanced cross-section designer with many more features, including showing all the cross sections in one 3D model, including bringing the terrain, like the topography, directly from satellite servers, including topography and the aerial photo. So we're working on that. More mining features and offline data entry. So this will be a separate application for those who want to go offline on their project too often, and they prefer like an application instead of Excel templates. Remember, we already have the Excel templates if you want to go on a remote site. Import from AGS, Dix, and Gint. These are started, and we expect in the next few months we will have these features. And obviously exporting 3D model or your data essentially from RSLog directly to slide 2, slide 3, RS2, and RS3. It will be very similar to what you saw Steve did with importing data into Settle 3. There might be more 3D features essentially in the future for those programs. And now, Steve, I see that some of the questions are already answered. I have a few questions here that are still waiting for us to answer. You can go ahead, Stephen.
Okay, so I will start reading some of the questions that Alireza, maybe you can help with answering the questions. So the first question is it possible to plot these rock features, rock mass, strength, RMR, RQD, etc., values in depth?
Yes, it is possible. We already have this feature. So if you have like RQD, total core recovery, RMR, you can plot these as the traditional stepped diagrams with depths. You can even specify which color you want to show each of these parameters. So the answer is yes.
Thank you for answering the question. Next question is, can data be exported to, say, Gint?
We are working on it. We are working on importing and exporting to Gint. As I said, Gint, Dix, AGS. We are working on this. We realize that some users are still using other programs, and they may want to import and export. So definitely you will see it in the near future.
Thank you, Alireza. Next question is there a fixed boring log format?
When you create your account, your RSLog account, it comes with some default borehole log templates. But as you saw in the presentation, you can start create your own log template from scratch, or you can edit any of our default log templates and make changes as you wish.
Thank you, Alireza. Next question is, can the cross section be set to a specific printing scale, such as 1 inch to 10 feet?
So So you can create. Well, that I have to see, because we have some predefined scales in metric and in imperial, and those are the most common scales that are used. If you see the scale that you want is not there, then please contact us and we make sure that we add it in there. But what happens, the way that we export cross sections is that you draw it on the screen in a scale. So when you zoom 100%, it will show it exactly as it will be in your cross-section designer like AutoCAD or what. And then you export it into PNG, and however you want to show it in your report, then you'll need to adjust that PNG. Of course, if you export to DXF, it will be much easier. Then you can do whatever you want in AutoCAD. But there are a variety of different scales that you can choose. You can choose different scale for horizontal, different scale for vertical.
Thank you for that. Next question is it possible to add custom columns to the log file?
Yes, and I think we demonstrated that during our presentation. You can choose from different types of log columns. Yes.
The next question is, can each aspect of the log be input through an Excel file?
So if that means you want to import from, so Brian, let's connect and talk about it. So the log template, if you mean importing it from Excel, no, we don't have that. But you don't need to do that, honestly, because those features are so user-friendly that you can easily design it the way you want. It doesn't take much time of you. I would say if you are completely new to the program, it shouldn't take you more than like 20 minutes, half an hour to set up your own template.
The next question is, can CPT data be displayed along borings?
CPT data, yes. So we have CPT data actually as one of our field tests. If you remember, when we edited the borehole, you could choose between different types of data. At the moment, I believe you can only show one parameter. Let's say QC, tip resistance or friction resistance. But we are working on letting you to show like an overlap of 2 or 3 different parameters on the same plot if you wish. And but otherwise, what you can do, you can define different log column, and in each log column you can show, in one of them you can show QC, on the other one you can show FS if you don't want overlap.
Okay, next question is a bit long. I have a question about drilling method and setting data entry. If we use continuous coring, which drilling method do I choose? These one is not on the list of drilling methods.
So continuous coring, I believe it was there, but if you see any type of drilling that is not there in the list, just email it to me. You can use the support button at the bottom of the page. And by the way, go to rocscience.com/software/RSLog, and that's how you can download. You can get your trial license. But if you see there is anything that you want to add to the program, we are very open to any feedbacks. Feel free, like adding a new different type of drilling method is very easy. We can do it in once we get the email, we can do it. Next day you will have it, right? And the beauty of RSLog is that every time that you log into the program, there's new features. Like there's some improvement, there's some performance improvement, there's a new feature that is now activated in the program. So you don't need to install anything. Just log in next time and explore and see what is added.
The next question is, how does the tools manage rock classification such as RMR, Q, etc.? Does it require is it required to calculate them outside the software or not?
Yes, so at this stage, it does need to be calculated outside. We started getting requests from users in order to be able to do this calculation inside RSLog, and we are evaluating that. We are making some assessments, and I can say in the future we will have that also added to RSLog. But at the moment, we just get the results in the borehole edit page, and we just display that in the borehole log.
Unfortunately, we are nearing the end of the presentation time, so this will be the last question. And feel free to, as Alireza mentioned, feel free to send us an email to ask more questions or any inquiries you have. The last question is, do you have lab testing templates, i.e. graduation, Edinburgh's, swell consolidation, proctors, etc., or is the lab data only presented on the borehole logs?
Yes, at the moment. So the design, like the purpose of RSLog, is to manage data and present data, right? So what we have at the moment is that you just enter the test results in that lab test page in RSLog, and we just present the results. So what you can do if there is a lab test, let's say proctor test results, and you don't see it in the list of the predefined test. So you just go to user define and add it as a new test and enter the results. So we just present the result in the borehole log. We don't have processing of lab tests at this stage. And as Steve mentioned, I'll be very happy to be in touch with you and answer your questions and feedbacks. All of these questions here, the questions that we didn't answer, we will answer. We have a list of all of them. We'll go through all of them, and I will answer to you. The best way, if you want to keep in touch with me, it will be support at novotechsoftware.com, or you can contact support at rocscience.com, and then we will be in touch. Any questions, I assure you that it will be answered in time. Again, the support button at the bottom right corner of RSLog, when you log in, that support button sends us directly a message. So feel free to use it as you wish, and we reply to you very quickly, answer your question, or set up a meeting to help you if you have any questions. And thanks very much. I appreciate your time. We'll be in touch. And by this, Steve, if you don't have anything else to add, we are going to end presentation.
Great. Thanks so much, Alireza.
Again, thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.